Hello there guys, right, you're with High Chief Drew, and we are going to try a new game. Well, might be new for some of you. This is another game by Paradox Interactive, who developed City Skylines, which you've already seen me play. This is a game that I've been enjoying immensely. I've recently been playing this a lot. I only got it about a month or so ago, and it is very addictive. This is very much, in some ways, like other Empire games you played before. You have resources, keeps, holds, soldiers, whatnot, you have to expand. Unlike most, you do not play as an immortal leader that you get to play as through the whole of time. No, this one, you play as a guy until he's dead, and you better hope he has sons and daughters to keep on going, or that's it, you are out. Now this is, try to be very faithful to what things were like back in the old feudal days. It's an interesting game, and you're going to see me play it right now. We're going to start a new game, and as early back as you can, because there is an end time where it will stop you and finish the game, if you're lucky enough to get that far and not die first. So we've clicked on what they call bookmarks. These are various points in time where the setting of the world is already pre-set up, with various empires in play, and you get to jump in and see how you do. You can of course create your very own, who might not have appeared in history. So I think that's what we might do, because honestly, none of these are jumping out at me. I've recently played as the King of Leon, as that's the tutorial. I've played as what eventually became the King of England. Today I think we're going to try somewhere a bit more out of the way, something we haven't, or rather I haven't done before. Here is the custom start screen. You get to pick from any region in this known world, which covers Europe, top of Africa, heading into Russia, stopping over here. Oh, doesn't that sound nice? So we're going to pick a leader. We are going to replace him with one of our own guys. Now it's fairly simple. You pick an area you'd like to start in, and it will tell you over here who is in charge. You can either play as that guy, simple as that, hit play, or you can click on ruler designer and modify him, which is what I'm going to do. And before we get started, you may have noticed that the black bars at the right and left hand side of the screen should be gone. There is a reason for this. I am recording in a new resolution. Now, you may have noticed in the City Skyline videos that there were black bars on the left and right hand side, and that's because I'm recording in 16:10, because that is what my monitor is. In order to record in 16:9, I've had to lower the resolution. You'll be able to tell because there's black bars at the top and bottom, and the screen should go fully to the left and right. It does mean I can't see quite as much, but it's by a tiny amount, so it doesn't really matter. So let's get on with the game. Let's decide where we're going to play it now. I quite like this area, Spain, because I have played there before. England, I've done it recently, and I think everybody tries to do a King of England run at some point, so it's not going to be terribly original. So I could do that. Each area is divided into different kinds of empires with religions and culture. Over here you're going to have Anglo-Saxon cultures, Christianity. In fact, Christianity spreads quite a far way over here. Down here it's mostly Sunni Muslim. What have we got? We have Buddhists, Zoroastrians over here. We've got pagans with their Viking culture over in what will eventually be Norway and Sweden. And each of these cultures and each of these different religions have their own rules that you have to play by. And I'm going to start in a Christian nation, just because they have the most clout, at least in the area that I want to be in. So I'm probably going to go with that, although I could go as a rebel and be an Aztec or something, but I don't think I'm going to do that. So I've picked Lithuania. Let's become King of Lithuania. 3 regions to pick from. Whichever one I pick, I will be the count of that region, with a king above me. It would be up to me to expand my territory, get more counties, and then eventually countries, and then an empire. So let's start. Which one do we like the look of? Vilnius. Yeah, go on, Vilnius. Ooh, although I think it might be wanting me to play as the High Chief. So let's do that. How can I say no? Right, let's leave his ethnicity Lithuanian. I don't think I want to mess with that. What? Yeah, let's leave that as Lithuanian. We can change our guy here to make him look surprised. I want to really get rid of that mustache, so let's do that. Big bushy beard, why not? Hair colour, we'll leave him ginger, why not? Clothes, what have we got? So this is where you customise your guy. We'll get more in depth soon with me picking traits, which I'm going to move on to now. Now every person you play as will have their own traits, which dictate what they can and cannot do well. No, let's skip that. Young, background, something nice with a field. But yeah, these traits that you're about to discover soon will affect what you can and can't do. So let's do our coat of arms. Let's try and keep it simple. Yeah, we're going to have to. What have we got? Yeah, a little look at that, but let's make it red. Which I think is 6. No, it's black. 8. There we go. That will do. Attributes. Here we are. These are skills that dictate what you're good at. Diplomacy means you can have more territory under your command. I think stewardship does the same as well. Intrigue is spying and whatnot. Learning is if you want to go the piety route and become a bishop, which is more or less a death sentence if you have an heir, because they can't inherit anything, so game over. Martial affects your combat. That you can lead your own troops into battle, and this stat will help with that. Health, while fairly self-explanatory, means that you're not going to get illnesses and whatnot. Fertility, that's the chances of producing offspring. I'm not going to set this. We're going to have our own heirs automatically generated eventually, as we marry a spouse and get them pregnant, as is what won't. Married, no. Culture, Lithuanian. Well, it'd be best if we leave it like that, because if you have a different culture from your people, they're not going to like you nearly as much. Religion. What religions do we have? So, Dharma, Hindu, Buddhist. Ooh, Israelite, Jewish. These are the different religions you can play as. Now, pagan religions have their own rules. The Christian religions have their own rules. Muslim ones do as well. And I think I'm going to stick, even though I'm not a Christian myself, I'm more familiar with the rules for Christian religions. So we're going to go with one of these. Catholic will definitely put us in good stead because we'll have the Pope on our side. So I'm going to go with that. Education. Now, in your list of traits, there's going to be one at the very front. That is your educational one. This provides a massive boost to certain things, such as intrigue, stewardship, diplomacy. I think I'm going to go for something diplomacy orientated. Great eminence. Now, you start off at 16 years old. If you are picking these red ones, that means it's going to increase your age by that amount. So picking great eminence, I'm now 30. The later you start in life, the more chances you have that you're going to die. Simple as. Especially without an heir. So you don't want to get too many good traits in one go, otherwise you're going to age up. Or you can balance it off with bad traits, like depressed. Which I might actually do, because depression goes away. So that's only something I'll have to deal with for a little bit of time. What else have we got? Wounded. That goes away after time, so we're going to do that. Which means we should be able to afford a good trait. Like... what have we got? Well, there's attractive or genius. Genius is actually good. So we managed to offset the massive jump in age a bit with wounded and depressed. Genius is one of those good stats that increases everything and makes your vassals like you more, which is going to be important, and you'll see why. Let's see what else we can do. Now, strong will raise our age by 40, but that's good because vassals like you more. Diplomacy, fertility, health, all of that goes up. So I could pick that. What else have we got? Also, these stats here can be inherited. So you want to try and get good genes. A lot of players wind up setting up their own eugenics program, and you kind of have to in order to have your heirs with good stats and abilities so that they can then pass them on and build a better empire. So we have our guy. He's going to be High Chief Drew Korybut of Lithuania. So let's get this started. And play. There we go. Welcome to Crusader Kings 2. So I'm going to read this out for you, in case you've got this minimized or you're listening to this while you do something else. In Crusader Kings 2, you play as a succession of medieval rulers from a single dynasty. There is no set goal, but the world is filled with ambitious rivals. Secure more land to increase your power and protect your family. You cannot hold infinite amounts of land yourself. To expand, you will need to rely on vassal rulers, keeping them happy with titles and gifts lest they decide to revolt. The game will end in 1452 if your line can stay in power that long. As a ruler, your first priority is to secure an heir. If you do not have a legitimate heir when your character dies, the game will end. Other pressing matters appear as alerts on the top of the screen, which you can see here. Crusader Kings 2 is a pausable real-time game. That means you can issue commands while the game is paused and are not. To pause or unpause the game, click the date in the upper right-hand corner. That is up here. Crusader Kings 2 takes place on a fully 3D map. You can zoom in and out, as you've seen me do, using the scroll wheel. Hold down the scroll wheel and moving the mouse lets you pan. So it does. I've never actually done that. I've always just gone to the edge of the screen. Anyway, you can reset the map by pressing backspace. So I've played as a Lithuanian High Chief. Now, the cultural effects are none, sadly. Tribes are settled but agrarian. Each county can only have one tribal holding, representing the entire local tribal population. The more empty holding slots, the more powerful the tribal holding. Really? Now, this is my first time playing as a tribe. I've played so far under more organised feudal systems for England and Leon. And I've done a bit of the Game of Thrones mod, where I played as Eddard Stark, and it was fairly similar. So this tribal thing is going to be a little bit new to me. So, tribal rulers are limited to the elective Gavelkind succession law, which tends to fragment the realm between sons on the death of the chief. Elective Gavelkind is not, like you may expect from other kings, where the firstborn gets the title. No, this will be elective. Chiefs of my tribes will elect the successor upon my death. So ideally I want to have as few heirs as possible, until I can guarantee that the one I want is going to be in charge. Right, let's get started. These are our main alerts that we're going to have to pay attention to. These are going to pop up from time to time. We're also going to get alerts here and here. Let's go through these first. No heir. That means I don't have a son. I have open council positions. So let's look into this. These guys are going to help us out. They're going to have specific jobs that they can do. And they have a chief stat that governs whether they're going to be good at it or not. Our chancellor is a sort of diplomat. And I want to pick someone that has a good skill, depending on what job it is they're doing. This guy is going to be Chancellor, or will have to be, so it's diplomacy we want. The Marshal needs, well, a martial skill. Steward needs stewardship, spymaster, intrigue, and court chaplain is learning. Once I have got these guys assigned, there's going to be jobs they can do. Now I'm going to have to make do with what I've got, because the pickings aren't great. This guy's an indulgent wastrel, so that's not going to help me. Every character has stats, so some of them are good, some of them are bad. Ambitious is not something you want. Some of these have AI effects to them. An ambitious character is more likely to try and usurp the throne from you, get more power for himself. If I can get my hands on a guy that's content, like this guy, and get those genes into my vassals' gene pools, then they're not going to rebel. They're going to be happy doing whatever it is they're doing. So this is a trait that you should look out for a lot when you're picking people. It's also good to marry these guys off into your bloodline to get other stats like attractive, and try and avoid setting people up with stuff like craven. As you can see, vassal opinion makes them go down. So if somebody with that trait ends up in charge, their vassals are going to like them less, which you do not want. But let's stop talking about this and get started. We've wasted a lot of time on intros, which I think we kind of had to do, but I'm keen to get into the game. So let's just pick the guy with the highest stats, and it's already suggested it, ranging them at the top from high to low, 14, 8, 6, 3, 3. We will get more guys as we go. Spymaster. See, this guy is a mess of bad stats, but it doesn't... But he still has the highest intrigue skill, so I'm going to have to make do with him. And we don't have anyone that could be a chaplain. So, it's a good thing this is paused. I am going to try and import someone. This find characters thing here is something you're going to be using quite a bit, or at least I have found I do, when you need people. Now what I can do is I can search the entire world. Now, women can be priests as well, so I don't have to restrict that to men. This is how you find people. Anyone can be interacted with by right-clicking on them. You can do various things, demand religious conversion, so plot to kill, upon commander, etc. We will go through these as we go. Now, clicking on here, you'll be able to see your court. These are the guys that you can immediately interact with. You can have full control over. You can go into other people's courts and interact with them if need be by clicking on them. This is High Chief Drew Korybut of Brunswick. I can do stuff with him, but because he's not in my court, I can't do nearly as many things. Oh, I could take him as a concubine. Okay. For now, though, we were going to look at that later. What I'm going to do is try and import someone that will be a good chaplain. So let's have a look. We want somebody that is my religion ideally, and my culture. Search all. Of course, there's not going to be anyone with that. So, any religion will go with. Adult, yes. Great house, any ruler, no. Now we want to find someone that's good at learning. Wow, slim pickings. Looks like he is going to have to be it, because I don't really have much choice. But he does have good stats. Patient, brave. I'm going to want those in my gene pool if I can. So I want to invite him to my court. Well, we'll convince him. False religion, base reluctance. Yeah, this isn't going to go well. In fact, I want to try swap that round. So we're going to have issues with people not liking him because he's not going to be the right culture, but we're just going to have to live with that. So let us pick our guy. He is going to be it, I think. Let's click on him, invite. He's not too distant to interact with. Now he is far away wherever he is. Where is he? He is too far away. Who can we interact with? This guy? Nope. This guy? Oh yes, we can. No, why not? No reason to move, base reluctance. Maybe if I send him a gift? Actually, no, I really can't afford that. So, we want to just keep trying to invite people to our court. No, what if I take you as a concubine? No. Catholic fist, isn't it? Yeah, okay. I thought I could cheat it by getting them into my court that way and then switching them to priest, but it's not going to have that. No reason to move, base reluctance. Yeah, it doesn't look like I'm going to get a priest any time soon. So let's try another trick. Ooh, we can adopt feudalism. What do we need for that? Right, don't have that yet. This is the intrigue tab. There are plots you could do, like killing people, various decisions to make. Right now, I want to invite a holy man to court. I've spent piety to do that, not cash, which is good, although I only have 10, so I can't do it too much, but it's going to have to do. What else can we do? Convert a local religion. No interest in doing that. Here's tribal army. That might be useful. Found a new kingdom. Always good. We'll come back to those later. Now the guy I just hired is going to take a while to arrive. I'm going to have to unpause the game if I want to see him turn up. Anyway. This is the elective gavel kind nominating thing. I choose my heir here, unlike being able to just trust that my firstborn will do it. Never mind though, I'm going to come back to this later. In the meantime, this is a part of the greater laws page. This is where I set the laws for my kingdom. Tribal organization is one such thing. It means that I can have a little bit more power over vassals. Centralization, that means I can hold more titles for myself. This is gold. Feudal levies, that's a taxation rather. Feudal levies are how many soldiers you can get out of your vassals. And it goes on in this way. Now, I'm not going to need much of those yet, so we'll come back to that. Ruler unmarried. That's a good point. Let's see if I can find someone to marry. Cancel. I'm going to go back into the people finder. This time, so gender women, in prison no, married no, ruler no. My religion ideally. There's nobody like that. Any culture will do. Adult, yes. So, I want diplomacy because when you get married to someone, their stats get merged with yours and you get a wee buff from it. And both of those stats will go into making the kid. Now because diplomacy is important for having more land, I'm going to want someone with high diplomacy in the hopes that both our decent diplomacy scores will be passed on to the kid. So let's find someone with high diplomacy and knock out an heir before we die somehow. Which can happen through random events. So what am I going to do? I want someone with decent stats. Socializer, Grey Eminence is good. Now they're gluttonous and they're arbitrary, which is not good. That is another gene that you do not want in the pool. Arbitrary. For your heirs. You can be okay with it getting around to other vassals, but if they have vassals of their own, it can destabilize the whole thing. So you want to try and keep the genes fairly selective. That's why so many players have those massive eugenics programs. There's a reason for it. It works. And if you allow their characters to go by their own devices, you're not going to have much luck with good genes. And it will knock your progress off in short order. So who is this? This person is young, so they have decent sacred eminence content, but they are gluttonous and wrathful. What else have we got? No. A lot of red stats. Ooh, this honest, chaste. That's not going to be good for me because fertility is going to go down. Less chance of heirs. What else do we have? This person is ambitious. In fact, if you can get content on your heir, that's okay. Because it only knocks... The stat itself only knocks down intrigue by 1. Most of the effects are AI based. Now if you're playing as the character, then that makes no difference whatsoever. So that's not so bad. All of your heirs will have content, which means if one of your kids has content and they would otherwise want to be king, they may not act on it because they have the content stat, which means less in fighting. So it can be a good gene to have even for you for those reasons. At least I've found it to be so. Let's try and do this. Yes! Marrying a courtier, that will knock my prestige down, but honestly, I don't care. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check who we have in our court first. So I'm going to add her to our special interest. What that means is that this person can now be tracked on the side of the screen. Usually. Where the hell? Let's have a look. This is where I'm selecting what I can see. There we go. Characters of special interest. RL. So I'm going to see what options I have marriage-wise. Yeah, not amazing. Aggressive leader, cruel, trusting. Not high diplomacy skills, whereas I'll pick here 17 and decent genes, so I am definitely going to go with that, even though it's going to knock down my prestige by a tiny bit. There we go, my queen. Once she's accepted. So I can ignore that one. You don't want to click that unless you want to faff around in the menu to bring it back, so dismiss for now. I'll come back to that later. Pick an ambition. So these are goals, like the Sims goals that you would get. You pick a goal, once you get it, that goal, you get bonus points to spend on things. In this case, you might get prestige, learning, or whatever. For example, become a paragon of virtue, raise piety, which is up here to 500. The reward for that being 1 learning, 100 piety, and will be known as the Holy. Catholics like you more, etc. Amass wealth, gain 1 stewardship, gain 1 diplomacy for being exalted. Now, that will be easy to do because he's not currently married, and I will get a quick buff off that. This affects what story items you get. If I'm a seducer, not only do I get stat buffs like sex appeal and whatnot, I'll have more kids. These ones will give me more storyline options for going to war and hunting, getting martial prowess. This one I like, family, because when your heirs are growing up, and when you have brothers and sisters that are also in line, this particular stat can help things go more smoothly. They like you more, you raise them to have better stats, so it's worth having. I've never been particularly interested in these. I don't see the point. So I pretty much ignore them. I think learning might be used when your character is growing up and they're being educated by someone. But honestly, I haven't found it to be that much of a detriment. If anybody knows why I should pay more attention to these, mention so in the comments. In the meantime, let's stick with family. That'll bring my fertility up, my health up, and it raises my diplomacy by 2. I could just go with the flat 3 boost here, but honestly I like the spread here more. What else have we got? I can grant titles. Commander of Lithuania. Do I want to do that? I'm not sure I do. In fact, I think I want to go to feudalism soon, at some point. Old holdings. So I'm going to leave it that way for now. Well, once we hit feudalism, we're going to want keeps, lots of them. But for now, we'll leave this as it is. Oh, hello. An emissary from Pope Stephanus III has arrived in our court. According to the emissary, the Holy Father is concerned about our employment of heathens as advisors.